How to use a risk register in project management. The first step in the risk management process is risk identification. Projects are all different, of course, but for organizations that run similar projects year after year, there might be historical data to review to help identify common risk categories for those types of projects. Additionally, you can anticipate some project risks based on market forces, supply and demand risks, for example, based on common project management issues or even based on weather. Collect the project risks. Collecting the possible risks that can show up when managing a project requires a systematic approach to make sure you're as thorough as possible. The project risk register is a system, which can then track that risk if it in fact appears and then evaluate the actions you've set in place to resolve it. When registering these risks on a risk log spreadsheet or within your project management software, you have a place to put this data and follow the specific risk event throughout the project, thereby seeing if the risk response actions you've put in place to remedy the risk are working. A risk tracking document keeps project risks on a tight leash to mitigate their impact so they don't ruin your project. Document the project risks. Documenting project risks using a risk register is vital to the success of any project. It gives you one place to identify the risk, note its history, from where it first occurred to where you finally resolve it, and even tag the risk to the person who identified it and manages it. On the risk log, you can note the risk score and how likely the risk will impact the project and so much more. Monitor the project risks. As mentioned, you can assign risks to your team members in your project risk register. That person then is responsible for monitoring the risk and leading any risk response actions required to mitigate the impact of that risk event or address it once it becomes an issue. By documenting this process in a project risk register, you're less likely to lose track of project risks over the course of a busy project, which means the risks aren't turning into real issues that can negatively impact the project budget or schedule and compromise the success of the project. Resolve the risks. Finally, when the project risk is resolved, you can close it. Nothing is better than checking off that risk in your risk log as no longer a problem in the project. If the risk event has been remedied, you don't want to continue using resources on a problem that doesn't exist. It simply gives you more control over your risk management plan and fosters better communication with your project team and stakeholders.